All right, everyone. It's Kate here with the Mom Boss Mentor. And today I am super excited to introduce you to Deborah. Deborah is a total boss, podcaster, international bestseller, total top percent of company. I will let her share more about herself. But first, Deborah, I want to tell us where you're from and a little bit about what you used to do before you became your own boss.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Kate, so much for having me on the show. I appreciate that. I am from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, because I know there's more than one Vancouver in the world. And wow, so what I used to do is I used to be in the music industry. I used to cocktail waitress, bartend, help book bands. I was active in multiple clubs in my area. The part I loved about it was community. The part I loved about it was music, and being in this nocturnal world. You became very close to each other because as everyone was getting, going to bed, you were getting up and going to work. So it was a really tight, nice community and family. So I loved that, but there came a day. And so, there came a day. And the reason why there came a day, huh?
Yeah, go ahead. No, keep going.
Okay. I was going to say the day came because it's a very, it's a different lifestyle, right? It's a different lifestyle. And the lifestyle kind of woke me up one day. Literally, you get off work at 2, 3 in the morning, and then you're going for dinner, maybe going for a drink, really seriously, because you're ending your day. And so you get home around 5 or 6 in the morning, chatting with the bands, blah, blah, you decompress after work like everybody else does, right? So I got home at 5:36 or whatever it was in the morning, and I just went in the bathroom to brush my teeth and take off my makeup and, hit the hay. And I looked in the mirror, and the mirror went black. Like, seriously, it went black, like I couldn't see myself. And I don't know if it was 30 seconds, 3 minutes, it felt like 3 hours. And it was scary enough for me, I guess, that the next day I woke up and I called my boss and I'm like, I'm not coming back to work. And he's like, oh, are you sick? And I'm like, no, I'm just not coming back. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, yeah. And I didn't know what my next move was. It's funny. I was just listening to Oprah. She's like, the next right move. I'm like, don't know what that was. But what I did know was that lifestyle was taking me down. I didn't know all of the principles around why that mirror went black that day. I kind of call it my spiritual awakening, but it's not a bad industry. I love the industry and I'm very active in it now. But it was, I think, a sign for me that I needed to make a change because it just was it was a lot more unhealthier in the 80s than it is now. So for me, that was a pivotal point with not knowing this. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because that's like what most people would say is like that was the moment, right? And so you then had no plan, and there's no right or wrong way. And I want to make sure people know that there's no right or wrong way to make a transition. Some people are like Deb and have no plan and just they're done. And other people are more strategic or, take years to figure it out. So there's no right or wrong timeline. But what was the steps once you said, I'm not coming back? What steps did you take to become where you are now?
Yeah. Long story. So in a short time frame, because that was, over 30 years ago, what I started to do is do self-discovery and personal development because something was not right. And so I went in through the back door. I fell in love with a book called Shakti Gaiwan, Living in the Light. It opened my eyes. I sat at the back of the bus and read it and felt like, oh my gosh, this is the information I've always wanted to know. So I started to get into personal work, personal development, John Bradshaw, discovering my family, delving into the crevices of my life that didn't feel right, and doing that personal development made a big change in my life in terms of my health and my lifestyle and who I was hanging with. I moved from one part of the city to another part of the city, got close to the water. And then it started to reveal to me. I took a course. It was a course for 6 weeks for women that were in this place of self-discovery. And what I found out after that course was that I really wanted to work with women, third world. People were saying, you should be a lawyer, you should be a speaker, you should be this. And all I knew was I didn't know how. I just wanted to work with women and empower them in third world countries. I move off to Montreal to get a break. I come back. I'm in Montreal and I'm like, I know what I want to do. I want to, I signed up for women's studies, a 4-year course, a religious studies course. And I was coming home to do what I always wanted to do. I was fueled and I got pregnant with my daughter. No 4-year course for me. And the 4-month course was canceled. And I literally walked into I was pregnant and I'm super happy I was pregnant. It just wasn't, maybe necessarily the same time that I wanted to be, but there it is. And so I went to go get a muffin, and I was pregnant, and I wanted one, and no one was stopping me. And I went into this shop. It was the only place in town that was wheat-free, dairy-free, and gluten-free at the time, long time ago. And I saw a pink flyer out of the corner of my eyes, and it was for a massage class. And I got tingles, and I called it, and I got involved I took massage course, and the second day of my class, I was like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I was like, I was so taken with healing people. And that, my friend, was the beginning of my journey, and falling in love with holistic medicine at a time where people just thought I was a hippie, and started a massage practice, and went from, in my massage practice, I had an epiphany. I heard a question that said, what would you do if I had $1 million? I had $2,000 to my name, and I started an aromatherapy home party company, because that's the answer that I heard back. And then a gemstone jewelry company. And then, and then I had this practice. And then I decided after 17 years to have them retail products. And then someone came along, and, who I didn't know, and put a bottle of cream in my hand. And here I am, distributing for another company. And this whole movement of just helping entrepreneurs, not just women, but, it was a big deal. And, you're pioneering a whole bunch of stuff for women. And here I am.
Yeah. Such an evolution too, like how it's just being open to receive different signs to say, hey, what about this? And you can try it on. And, if it isn't the right fit anymore, there's another opportunity. Like it's a continuation. I always like to say it's like an escalator, right? Like you don't know what the next step is, but they're going to keep coming at you, and you can decide whether you want to take that step or if you're comfortable in the step you're on right now. So I love that your career has taken so many different paths, and yet you've been able to have such an impact on so many lives. So I love that. So what is some of the things that you, love about your life now as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. Right. Well, there's a lot. I think, no, really, there's a lot, in the sense that I am. So when I was younger in high school, they said, really, we had three choices. It was secretary, teacher, or stewardess. And I picked stewardess. And I think it's because of my love and my sense for freedom. Right. And so I have a lot of freedom. And I love that. I'm self-directed, so I can work with that freedom, but I love the sense of freedom. Sometimes people say, I'm officially unemployable. I don't think I'm unemployable, because I like to work within the cohorts of a team, but I can be inspired or have an inspiration, and no one gets to cap that. So that's a really big one. I really do adore having the time and the freedom to be creative, and let creativity and go in a direction based on my decision or someone I'm talking to. Like at that part of being an entrepreneur, where you get to go left if you want to go left. So that falls probably in the freedom part as well. I like that I get to leave legacy financially, like financial legacy. I like that no one's capping my ceiling except me. And in an entrepreneur world, we know that we can reach out to other entrepreneurs and go, I need to make an extra $5,000 a month, like straight up. That's what I want to do. And that's what I need to do. So, when my granddaughter was born, I called my daughter and I said, okay, I'm going to be the best yaya ever. And I said, but I'm not going to, every time I visit, I'm not going to bring a bunch of pink plastic toys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set her up on a monthly financial deposit that I will do monthly for her. And when she hits teen years, we're heading to New York. She's like, okay. And I don't have to worry about, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think twice about that. So I get to do things, I get to support in a way. And the other thing that I like is that if I'm at a place, like, look at, it's like, I'm not Richard Branson. It's not like my bank accounts are, so bursting that I can't count my coins anymore, like Scrooge. It's like, I still have goals and aspirations, but I know that when I hit the wall, that I have the ability, because I've had years I've had years where I've been up against myself. And I now know, by being an entrepreneur, that I can go further, that I can handle a crisis pretty calmly.
It's amazing, because it just gives you that courage or that confidence to be able to say, okay, like whatever's thrown my way, I got this, like not feeling stuck or limited. And I think that's the key there is, the cap, there is no cap. Like you are your own cap. Your mindset is your own cap, and your drive and your willingness to show up for yourself in your own business. So I love that. So do you have any advice for somebody that's like hesitant to take the leap to be their own boss, but knows in their heart that they're a stewardess as well, you know, for all intents and purposes? They don't want to be the secretary. They don't want to be the teacher. They want to be the stewardess, like you said.
Yeah. So here's what I'd say, you know, sometimes I was actually just away for the weekend and there was this amazing woman, top of her game. Right. And we were talking about what we had made in terms of impression on women. And I had just finished watching a Netflix on Gloria Allred. And I was like, man, you watch someone like that and you don't think you've made an impression. And we talked about how we really made an impression in the industry, you know, women in commerce, women in her sector, even if it was just a little bit. So I would say two things. I would say, either you're a man or a woman, it doesn't really matter. When you make a decision to be an entrepreneur, you don't just make an impression for you, but you make an impression for so many people you don't even know. Like you have no idea what your bravery is going to allow someone to do. There's been times where people have said to me, wow, you made such an impression on me. I left this bad relationship. I'm like, what? I was just talking about my business. Do you know what I mean? But the bravery doesn't have a name. The bravery doesn't have a sector in your life. And when you start to get brave and decide to become an entrepreneur, you're going to notice other areas in your life are going to kind of stand up and show up. So there's that part of it. The other part is I am a big believer in strategic plans now. I ran with ideas. Like I was like, ooh, I'm going to do massage the rest of my life, you know? So I'm like figuring it out on one piece of paper, my business plan. I'll charge this, I'll do this many hours and we can pay the bills. Honestly, I ran around my city and went and photocopied flyers and taped them around lampposts. And the city of Vancouver called me and said, can you please stop? So I was like, that was my marketing budget. Like you don't need a whole bunch of money to be an entrepreneur. You need drive. Right now, I love strategic planning, and Kate, you and I both do that with people to help mark out paths. There's so many opportunities for entrepreneurs. It's actually flooding. There's so many opportunities for entrepreneurs in terms of how to be able to help you get to where you want to go. So if you're that kind of person that needs to mentally go, I have a plan, that's easy to do. You can sit down with a good entrepreneur, a good coach or whatever, and you can bang that off honestly in 2 hours. You know what I mean? And enough to satisfy you to the next right move, And so the other part is just be open to being creative, right? It's like you just make that plan. Where do you want to go? I knew when I decided to venture in with this direct sales company that I'm with, I wanted to pay my son's tuition to a school. That's it. That was the goal. That was the goal. And I would have loved to have done it in a week. It took me 2 years. It was a very expensive school. It took me 2 years, but I just had my eye on the prize. And the journey to the prize was just about stick and stay. I mean, really, entrepreneurship is this. Have a goal and dream, period. Surround yourself with cool people that will have your back. That might be one. That might be one person. And stick and stay, and you'll never regret it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I love that. Thank you so much. So being brave, have drive, be creative, and stick and stay. I love it. Okay. So thank you so much, Deborah. And anybody that wants to follow Deborah or connect with her or tap into her brilliance or reach out to her, feel free. We're going to have the link in the comments. And of course, subscribe to the channel so that you can stay in touch with more stories that we're going to be coming up every Monday. Have a good one.
Bye.